Real quick, I want to do a fair use. Yeah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. I'm going to give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters, you Akwathium, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Aram Yahawada with the lesson.
You're imposing an enemy that will kill us at a moment's notice, children, men, women, armed fighters, whatever. And the easy thing about it, ma'am, was there's only been two people that I'm aware of who were absolutely truthful about why they were attacking the United States, and that was General Giap in South Vietnam and Osama bin Laden. And my own experience at very senior levels in most of the intelligence agency levels leaders, I'm very sure that not 1 in 100 of them ever read a word Osama bin Laden said, and they ignored them because it was something he didn't want to hear, but also because it wasn't classified. It wasn't a classified product, so of course it can't say anything. And of course, we have a study. Our children who go into politics or go into the government are a lot of them come from the Ivy League, and they're taught to be the best in the world and ignore people who say anything different from you. And so Bin Laden, God love him, helped me write 4 books by being honest about what he is intended to do and fiercely honest about what the Arab world was mad at.
So when you see a report like an Israeli false flag attack on the United States, like I said, we have a long history of this, the USS Liberty. I mean, there's countless examples right now.
And we should be clear, the U.S. government has not confirmed this yet.
That was going to be my question. That was going to be my question. So Tehran says they told the Trump administration that they had intelligence showing that Israel was going to carry out this attack. I mean, how do we verify that? Will we ever hear from the Trump administration to confirm that? Because then almost immediately, Trump publicly called for Israelis to pardon Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday. He sent this long tirade about how he should call for a pardon. Here it is. Look at this. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he's like, this guy's a lover of freedom.
He's a warrior, a great warrior, victim of a witch hunt.
This would be a witch hunt. Please cancel this trial immediately. I mean, how do we verify it? Go ahead.
You don't. You hope what's happening is that not all of our intelligence agencies and police forces are suborned either by being pro-democratic or being pro-Israel, and maybe one of them would break it up. I have no doubt that they would try to do it if they would in response for what happened over the weekend. But you say we also don't have any proof that anything that had happened over the weekend and an attack on those sites made any difference. So I don't know where we are. I really don't, except to say that until America can put together a policy that really is America first, not Israel first, not NATO first, and it may take a president whose head isn't turned by every time somebody praises him. It's an American president to be effective in the world has to be someone who's willing to say what he thinks and not what people want to hear. And I'm afraid on Israel, at least, and now on NATO, we're going to get the same ring around. You know, it's a very difficult situation to be in, Clayton, and especially so because I lost 4 jobs so far, supposedly not because of the Israelis, but certainly because of the Israelis. So I've been on the taking end from them without, and it's fair play. I went into it with my eyes open, but it's a problem, and it's right there in our laps. It doesn't take a Harvard graduate to figure out what's going on here. It's money, it's threats, it's crews saying, yeah, they gather intelligence against Mossad gathers intelligence against Americans. It's the Southern Poverty Law Center and the ADL providing information on conservative Catholics and other conservative Americans to the FBI during the reign of Biden. It's like we're in a war that we don't even realize, and we're sucking up to the enemy.
I mean, I just got chills. I just want people to understand this is deadly serious shit we're talking about here. Like, this is not some fancy pants sensationalized stuff. This is the highest level. I mean, this makes me absolutely furious.
Well, you see, to be perfectly fair, Netanyahu wants to destroy as much as the first 4 amendments of the United States, the first 2 amendments at least. And he's obviously doing it through his surrogates, through IPAC, through ADL, through the Southern Poverty Law Center. Why wouldn't he kill us if he needed to? Or kill me, or kill somebody who is influential? I am not. But I'm not going to be quiet either. So it ought to be. It's a disgrace for every American. It's a disgrace for 20 million Christian Zionists who think these gangsters in Israel are somehow the same thing as the Israelites in the Bible.
If any of you watching right now are homeowners, you need to pay attention to what I'm about to tell you, because it's one of the fastest growing crimes in the United States.
Yeah. So I thought that was funny though. The guy mentioned that they're not the people of the book, and the guy went to commercial right after that. But it might just been the time that he was supposed to go to commercial. But I thought that was pretty interesting that he said it like that, and the dude went right into commercial. And then, like, if you watch the whole video, when he comes back, he don't want to say nothing about them JOOs, small hats. Yeah, he didn't want to say too much, but yeah, but yeah, this is Psalms 64:6, because pretty much what they were saying, they send their their people to look up information to investigate American citizens, right? Whether it's the Southern Poverty, whether it's actual agents, they dig up information, so they seek out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. See, and that's the small hats, the JOOs, the Uwish, the Israeli, right, against you Americans who think these people are your friends, but like he said, they're waging a war that you didn't even know it began, but it's been that way since the beginning. That was their whole thing, to infiltrate the White House, to infiltrate the Catholic churches, to infiltrate your schools, your everyday living, so they can have full control over what you think, how you behave, right? And also these things are agendas, the things that they put on TV, the music, there's agendas behind those things, and they know it. But they do a diligent search, both the inward thought, and which that's what they're gonna do with this micro CHIP, right? To be able to know your inward thoughts, but they're trying it via through this you know, the smartphone as of now. A wearable device is what was it, RFK, right? Said that he wants everyone to wear as far as health, right? They want to collect data, right? To know your inward thoughts, the inward thoughts of every one of them. And the heart, la'ab, which is basically your heart, your thoughts, your mind, are deep, right? And then right here it says in the NLT, it says what's it say? As they plot their, wow, right? You know, because that's what he asked them. He asked them, do you know about them making a false flag event in America in order to keep Americans in the war, right? To get America to continue to stand behind the state of Israeli, right? And it says, as they plot their crimes, right? False flag events, they say, we have devised the perfect plan, right? Yes, the human heart, right? The mind are cunning, right? And that's them. They're the most cunning beast of the field, right? Especially dealing with Amalek, which is the chief of the nations, of the heathen nations, right? Right? Right. But it says 7th verse says, but the power of the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. Right, which this going to be the hypersonic ICBM missiles that they're gonna shoot at each other. You know, once this this Karaks Graphel, right, this biometrics system is pushed, everything is gonna go fast. It's gonna go into this third world war, race wars, famine, death, pestilence, all over the world. It says, but the power of the Most High, Yahweh, right, in the NLT, himself will shoot them with his arrows, suddenly striking them down, right? Right. Which, you know, at one point in time, they were wounded going back into the Roman Empire. They were wounded by the deadly wound. They were healed and they returned, and that second leg of Rome has erected and came back, and now the Lord has to you know, to destroy it. Right now it's the time to actually, matter of fact, let's see, because that time it was just wounded. Because when you go into wound, it's the blow, wound, slaughter. See, blow, strip, beaten. Wound, slaughter. Scourging, right? Yeah, there it is. strike, smite, hit, beat, slay, kill. All right. So this time it ain't gonna be just a wound. This time, right? The Lord's gonna, like the the youngsters say, the Lord's gonna clap at him, right? He's smite, attack, and destroy this time, right? So this time it's going to be far greater than the time, of the first leg of the Roman Empire. Now we're at the toes, right? Partly iron, partly clay, right? So they shall make their own tongues to fall upon them. So see, and that's the time that we're in now, because here this guy was a CIA agent. He must have thought he was doing a noble job until he started recognizing certain things were actually happening. He was like, whoa, wait a minute. I thought we were the good guys. I thought this was happening. I thought, he believed in that. He probably put his right hand over his heart and sung that and did that Pledge of Allegiance real proudly at one point in time. But as he realized that it's not all what it was cracked up to be, what they made it seem. And you can tell by how he talked, he still kind of believes in America, but he don't know where would you get the truth from? Where would you get something righteous from? Which you can never, because they're the devil. These are the Edomites. You'll never get anything righteous out of theft, robbery, murder, grape, and plunder. How could you get great things out of that? You can't, right? That's what they did to the natives. That's what they did to the Mexicans. They went over, and got, the Southern Kingdom and brought them over here and, and did those things. Plundered, raped, destroyed, right? And put you in a low condition and basically programmed you. TV, television, radio, programmed you. Now you think you're the gangster, you're the thug, you wear your pants down low. These are things that they just showed you off of TV, right? Off of rap videos and all these different things, shows, yeah. And their tongue shall fall upon themselves, right? And dude might be a Jake. Who knows? He might just be a Edomite a guy who looks like an Edomite but really be a Jake, because he took it to heart that this thing was not all cracked up with what he thought it was to be. He was thinking this was a righteous country, right? And all that see them shall flee away, right? See, and that's what's about to happen, because most people, they're going to realize that this place is corrupt, and through these false flag events, they're going to bring in the draconian laws through the what do you call that? The fourth industrial revolution, which is, the technological advances, basically, right? Technocracy, right? It says their own tongues will ruin them, and all who see them will shake their heads and scorn. So it's the time that they're getting mocked and scoffed at, right? All around the world, the Jewish and the American people are unsatisfied and unimpressed with what's going on right now. And through the mouth of the Lord, the prophets are exposing them, showing them who they are, and that's to be the devil, and they're to lose this third war's war. Yeah, so this is Romans chapter 2, verse 1, and in a subheading says God's judgment of sin, right? It says you may think you can condemn such people, right? And that's, this is actually talking about, the, Israelites, the wicked scribes, Pharisees, but just ultimately Israelites altogether. These are things that the Lord is, giving to us as a nugget of knowledge as far as who we are. We're the Israelites, right? And most of us was the wicked scribes and Pharisees because they were basically sitting in Moses' seat and they were casting these judgments. But this can go to anyone who's sitting in a place of judgments, because now the heathen are reigning over us, right? They're ruling, and it says you may think you can condemn such people, right? And then as it may, as you reading it, this is talking about like a collective, right? Which you're talking about the Israelites. But you are just as bad, and you have no excuse, right? And see, and just because you're a heathen nation, there's no excuse, because you took up the Bible. You have your you have your scientists, you have your scholars, right? You have all your wise men, right? Your astrologers, your stargazers, your false prophets on the left hand side. They dig into a matter. You're as wise as Daniel. There's no nothing that is hid from you, so right? So there is no excuse when you say they are wicked and such be punished, right? So this is how Esau's looking at things, man. He's scowling it out, starting with the you wish, right? The small hats, right? The JOOs over there in Israelis, right? And they're bringing a war where they've been at war with the well, they told you that. They showed you the movie that Will Smith played in, which was Enemy of the State, which was a regular citizen who was born in America, right? Which they just got through Congress. It's so-called going against Trump for banning citizens. But that's for now, because eventually that's going to go away, right? Because it's not time for them to really flex their power, right? Because under a stage event, false flag event, under that circumstance, then you may be able to even ban natural citizens, right? This is the thing that they're going under, right? Matter of fact, let's see if I can find that. Yeah. So this is the Washington Post. It says Supreme Court limits nationwide order that have blocked Trump's birthright citizenship ban. So it was blocked at one point in time, right? Case focused on nationwide injunctions, not on the constitutionality of President Donald Trump ban on birthright citizens, right? Because these are so-called, they're telling you it's foreigners right now. So, but these people, that's supposed to be law. If you're born here, you're a citizen. That's the law, period. Now they're talking about going back and taking off that law. And then if they do, how far back do they go? How far back can they go on you being an actual birthright citizen? And see, what a lot of self-proclaimed so-called white people, right, which are Edomites, a lot of them are Edomites. Some of them might be Jake, or they might be even another nation. Who knows? But a lot of them are Edomites, right? And this was today, June 27th, 2025 at 10:47 Eastern time, right? And I'm in Arizona, so it just became 10 o'clock right now for us. So that was not that long ago, right? So this is Supreme Court on Friday backed. So this time they backing them. They say, hey, go ahead, do what you got to do. Back President Donald Trump requests to scale back nationwide orders that have for months blocked the administration's ban on automatic citizenship for the U.S. born babies and of undocumented immigrants. See, and this is the focus they want you to focus on, that it's undocumented immigrants, right? But how far back is it really going to go, right? Because these are, at this point, these are actual citizens. They were naturally born citizens, right? So how far back do it really go? It says the 6-3 decision with the liberal justice descending sends the case back to the lower courts to determine the practical implications of the ruling and leaving open a path for challenges to try to continue to block the president's policy. Yeah, so it's gonna be harder to block it. Yeah, because it went to the Supreme Court. So now it's from the Supreme Court back down to regular courts, and then they're gonna say who are they to block what the Supreme Court unblocked. They are a lower court, so it's gonna be basically impossible to block it, right? You're gonna have to dig into that magic bag like Felix the Cat and try to figure out a way to really combat this thing, right? To come against it. It says read the ruling and dissent here, right? It says the justice were not directly addressed. The constitutionality, of the president's birthright citizenship. See, so that's what I say. How far back do it really go? See, as you can see, citizenship order, which opponents say conflicts with the 14th Amendment, and that's the 14th Amendment is I believe that's what makes so-called black people citizens, right? Past court rulings and the nation's history, right? So I believe that's what makes so-called black people citizens, the 14th Amendment. So yeah, I just asked, Google simple says, and this is what AI overview said. Yes, the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution does make black people citizens. See, so how far do it go? So now all of a sudden, even U.S. so-called black people, that's why they're telling you you're next. But we know this. They're gonna pass all this stuff anyway. You see, they just went up to the Supreme Court. It blocked it, and now they're basically telling you it's going to be impossible to block it. So how far do it go if it even conflicts with the 14th Amendment, right? Which we already know that's what they're coming after, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, right? Because we are the Israelites, right? Right? Whether you accept it, believe it or not, you don't have to believe in this faith. They're coming for you regardless. This is written, right? They're going to rule but a short space. They're going to come down with great wrath, knowing that they have but a short time. So at any point, if there was no Israelites, you may blame it on the Israelites and say, it's you Israelites. You guys had to say something. And now these things are coming upon us. But that was going to happen regardless, right? Because the Lord said they were going to rule a short. It's prophecy. So that's the only thing we're pointing out. This is prophecy. This was going to come anyway. Yeah, it grants citizenship, see, to all persons born naturalized in the U.S. and United States, which include formerly enslaved people, right? Yeah, I'm also just go back up to it. It says Romans 2:1 says you may think you can condemn such people, but you are just as bad, or not, if worse, really. We don't have an Epstein Island. I mean, you may have P. Diddy on trial and all this other stuff, but he don't have an island that he done God knows what, and all of a sudden, allegedly, Epstein killed himself, and that's even if he's dead. They could have slipped him one of them little pills and they show you in these movies, they got these little pills that you take, and it reduces your heart rate, your breath, and it will make you appear to be dead to the average person. They won't feel a heartbeat, they won't feel a thing. They'll put you on the thing, send you somewhere. There'll be agents or something, they'll give him some clothes to wear. He's somewhere else drinking, margaritas and still doing his thing with little children somewhere. Fake his death. So we don't know what's really going on. And this is the type of power that these people have, man. Right? Right? And you have no excuse. And see, and now that they then took up the Bible, they have, like I said, they have all their different, magi's and warlocks and witches and people who supposed to know and could break down the Bible. They know what's up. When you say they are wicked, right? And that's what you are. You're the devil, right? The false accuser or the accuser, right? Because sometimes Jake is wicked, right? So when you accuse him, you're accusing him of right. But then most of the time you're accusing us wrong. You're falsely accusing us on the most part, right? And should be punished. You are condemning yourself. And so ultimately, that's what's going to happen to you. For you have judged others do those very same things, right? Yeah, man. And worse, man, because you're the one, you got a goddamn ship filled with people, enslaved people, even to this very day. When Trump first got in office, I had to keep mentioning that. First got in office, they found the ship filled with so-called black people enslaved. Did they go release those people? I mean, we seen it, but where are those people today? Nobody ain't thought about it. You know, what's that thing when they watch the celebrities? What are these celebrities doing to now? Hey, that's what they need to be doing with that, man. It says, we know that the power of the Most High Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kodash, in his justice, will punish anyone, not just the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, which those are God's people. Of course he's going to punish them. But that means anyone, even you Edomites, you other heathens, Moab, Ammon, Ham, Ishmael, right? Elam, you're going to get it, man, right? Anyone who does such things, man, and you all do it, man, right? Since you judge others for doing these things, why do you think you can avoid Yahweh's Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kodash judgment, man? How do you think you can avoid the Lord's judgment when you do the same things, right? Yeah. So this is Revelation chapter 20, verse 7. It says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan, which means your adversary, right, your enemy, which is the self-proclaimed so-called white man, Esau, Edom, is our enemy from birth, right? Before that, you know what I'm saying? From the beginning, right? Going back into the serpent, right? But that same spirit entered into Cain and Abel, and in that same spirit of Cain and Abel became Jacob and Esau. And Esau are the Edomites. Today, the descendants of Esau are the Edomites. And you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians are the descendants of Jacob. Right? And it's been a long war. So it says your Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, right? Out of the dust, the confusion, the grunting, right? Being a caveman, right? Not being able to make any sounds and things, which prove this the power of the Most High, because before that they were the Roman Empire, and was it Pilate wrote in 3 different languages Yahushai, the King of the Jews, in 3 different languages, and then some time later the Lord allowed the angel to come down and put them in this prison for 1,000 years. And for 1,000 years, they were unable to deceive the world, right? And it was because he put them down to a lower state where they could just grunt at each other, right? They would go upon their belly, going back into Genesis, that the serpent would lay upon his belly, which is dust to confusion, right? Which the Lord said that would happen to him, right? And now he had to come back out and go and shall go out to deceive the nation. So once the Lord took that dust, the confusion out off from among him, he had to come out and be loose out of his prison and go and deceive the nations which are in the 4 corners of the earth. And see, when you deal with the Roman Empire of that time, that's why we're telling you that this is the second leg of Rome. It did not rule the four corners of the earth. It only ruled the known earth, which was over there. Now we're dealing with the fourth part of the earth, or the hindermost of the nations, which is America, Babylon the Great, which is the fourth part of the earth. Right now, prophecy is fulfilled. Now the third war's war. Well, the micro sea hip has to come in, and then the third war's war, because it says of the four quarters of the earth, Gog of Magog, which gathered them together to the battle. Saying that's World War III, showing you that the four parts of the earth had to be inhabited. And it had to be this part of the earth in order for World War III, in order for Gog of Magog to go to war, to go to battle with them in World War III. And the time of the implementation of the micro sea hip, which that's what they're pushing, this digital ID, right? Or medical ID, because they're pushing it on all levels. They're pushing it through ID. They're pushing it through the medical, right? You know, they're pushing it on all different fronts. They're showing you the bitcoins, the different type of crypto coins, the dollar's weakening. So you know, people are buying gold, people are buying silver, people are doing things besides using the dollar. So you know that it's volatile. The dollar is volatile at this point. So you know what's have to come. It says, and the number of whom is as the sand of the sea, right? So it's going to be a great multitude of numbers of armies that's going to come. You got NATO, EU, America, and then you got the BRICS nations, which as at this point, pretty soon even NATO is going to be against America and Israel. It says, and they went up upon the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints, right? So they went all around the world searching for the Israelites. So when Columbus was doing all this exploring, he wasn't just exploring, he was looking for the Israelites. And when he found them, he was like, hey, look. He went back to Spain and said, hey, I found them. And these are people it's easy to enslave. They were so nice, they were so kind, they were so gentle. Hey, I want to be remembered. I never put down my sword on these nice, gentle people. And they went in there and basically damn near slaughtered Ephraim, right? They were on the coast of Hispaniola while these so-called Dominicans, which are Simeonites, want to love the self-proclaimed so-called white man so much. Yeah, they were decimating. They were decimating you. They didn't destroy you, you know what I mean, completely, because you're there, right? But you know, so these are the times that we're in, because now they have to bring in that digital ID. They have to figure out a way to even get to the 14th Amendment, which is gonna null and void even you as so-called African American as being citizens, right? Which are the Israelites. So they're gonna come down upon you and says and the beloved city, right? And that's where they're at right now. The small hats, they're in the beloved city, which is Israel. They're in Jerusalem, right? So they could pass us. They even in our land, harassing us throughout the whole entire world, right? And fire came down from the power of the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? The Lord's going to send his son, his only begotten son, Yahushai, and he's going to send laser beams from the chariots, from the fathership, but also these hypersonic ICBM missiles that they created, that they thought was going to be this great thing. Really, the Lord was allowing them to create it to be their own demise, right? It says, from the power, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Bashem Rakal Kadash, out of heaven and devoured them. Yep, see? That's ultimately what's gonna happen, right? Yeah, so this is Isaiah chapter 54, verse 16. Behold, which means feature eyes, look, pay attention. I have created the smith, right? The smith, right? Which is the modern day scientists, Project Paperclip, right? They're the scientists that created the atomic bomb, which led to this to the nuclear, right? The ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, and then ultimately a hypersonic intercontinental ballistic missile, right? And these are the things that Russia has. Guess what? Iran has now, right? North Korea, right? France, England, Spain. I believe Germany. Germany has a great. They were saying Germany has a great number of those. Ukraine. While they're so-called spending trillions of dollars trying to help Ukraine, I believe there's a lot of nuclear silos that's still in Ukraine, which may be used. I don't know. I'm just speaking as a man. May be used to be shot on this whore, which is America. May be used to be shot upon Israel. I don't know. I'm speaking as a man, but we know that they're being greatly despised around the world for the things, the atrocities that's happening, and people are starting to see it. Even the Americans are starting to see. As you can see, this guy. These people are an enemy, and they have a war against the entire world, even against the American citizens that constantly give their tax money to Israel, right? And then there's no recipient to the love that Americans give to Israel, thinking that they're the people, but they're not the people, as the guy said. And then the guy went to commercial, right? He went to commercial on that when he said they're not the people of the Bible. But it says, let's keep going. And it says, but the Lord, that's the modern day science that bloweth the coals, right? Which is a hypersonic ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missiles, in the fire, and that bringeth forth the instruments for his work. For whose work? The Most High's work, for judgment, right? Right? The Lord said He's going to wound them, right? Which means to slay them, to kill them, to destroy their system, destroy the ability to ever become rulers in the world again, right? There will be never again a heathen in rulership upon the earth, right? It says, and I have created the waster to destroy, and that's you, the son of perdition. You're just a waster, and you're meant to destroy. It says, and this is for the elect, which eventually all of Israel shall be saved. It says, no weapon that is formed, right? And the hypersonic ICBM missile is a weapon, and it has been formed, right? Against thee shall prosper, and every tongue, and that's what they do in their G7th, or used to be G8s. Now they have the G7th, and then of course they have their BRICS meetings, and it's still against you Israelites around the world collectively. The four corners of the earth, they're collectively speaking against you Israelites all over the world, right? But we know that you're the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians on this side of the world, in this Western hemisphere, right? You know what I mean? I don't know much about that part, but we know that there are Israelites everywhere, and they constantly have meetings and things against you Israelites, right? But no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue, right? And that's what they do. They speak in their meaning. They figure out the Bohemian Grove, different places that all these elites get together. What was it? The Epstein Island. They might have been doing that at the Epstein Island, right? Speaking of all these different things, but it was another island. I'm trying to think of it. where they did the Federal Reserve thing. I can't think of it right now, but it was another one where they went and changed what money was meant to be called under the Federal Reserve in order to get to this point here, right? When was it Reagan or not Reagan, Roosevelt. Slakia Roosevelt took the standard off of the money off the standard, the gold standard, the gold and silver standard. That was all to come to this point today that they can introduce a digital ID, right? Which is in turn going to be the charagma implanted in your hand, left hand, right hand, forehead, right? The biometrics, right? Which is going to bring in the Third World War, which is their destruction. Which this what it is. It says the rise up against thee in judgment. See, and that's what they have been doing. They have been coming against us in judgments. Right? We read that in Romans 2, right? And these are the things they plan on punishing you, destroying you, killing you, right? The modern day Haman, right? Vocab Malone. He want to accuse us so all the Israelites can be destroyed, right? And that's his aim. But guess what? It's going to fall upon him, right? Rise against thee in judgment, thus shall condemn. See, saying ultimately they're the ones that's going to get condemned. This is the heritage. See, it's our heritage. Heritage of the saints, of the servants, of the servants of the Most High, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, the outer one, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakach. Their righteousness is of me, right? Which is Yahweh Shai. Our righteousness is Yahweh Shai, right? Saith Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakach. Yeah, double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well, to the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom, to your sisters, your Akwathium, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence and a Bible ball. Kwam Yasharallah.